It's finally time! Móskarðshnjúkar, here I come. I've been wanting to come here now, I don't know how many times, for how long. I don't know how many times I've mentioned it in previous videos, but this has been my first mountain hike that I've been planning to do this spring. I tried to come here in winter I've tried to come twice actually. I've been here twice before. I haven't managed to go up yet. Today it looks better. It's been raining, it's been windy, it's been just not really good hiking weather for the past few days. But today it's brightening up. The clouds are melting away. It's a little bit windy, I can feel the wind on my back. But I'm really looking forward to finally doing this. I really wanted to go up to experience the peaks and hopefully the view if the fog clears completely before all the snows melt in spring. So let's just go and start our hike. The trail is quite a bit muddy, which is understandable. It's the spring and it's been very rainy lately. The current temperature is about 4 degrees, 5 degrees. It's supposed to get sunnier and warmer back on the lowland, back in Reykjavik. As the day progresses, it's not even 9 o'clock yet in the morning, but it will be colder up there on the mountain, somewhere around freezing point, I do believe. Still a bit of snow up there, so I did bring crampons. Otherwise, Móskarðshnjúkar, somewhere slightly under 1 kilometer, I think 800 something meters. This particular hike, I think, is under 700. We're already up some 100 meters from sea level. It's not a massively challenging hike, but it's not considered an easy one. This is basically up. 6-7 kilometers or so, I think, of distance, but everything is uphill. They say about 3.5 hours they should take the hike in good conditions, and that's of course good weather, summertime, good ground, and no stops to take photos or videos. And while I remember this, there is this small stream here at the base of the trail. So if you're hiking outside of good summer weather, where you can probably just take off your shoes and walk barefoot across, make sure you're wearing proper waterproof hiking boots. There's nothing worse than walking for a few hours in wet shoes. Just noticed some pretty cool, look like, what are they called? Basalt columns, I think. Stuðlaberg, we call them in Icelandic. Let's see if I can fly the drone over there and get a closer look. It's slightly off the trail to the west, to the left when you're heading up. Let's see if the drone can capture it. That up there is the first ridge, which is about, or slightly more than halfway up to the top. Coming up on those first snowy, icy patches, I'm hoping the ground starts firming up. Up until now I've been trudging through mud, stepping a few centimeters deep into mud, 1-2 inches with every step, which has made this more difficult than it has to be. So hopefully the ground starts firming up soon. Of course, if it gets more snowy / icy, I'm gonna have to stop and put on the crampons as well. It's getting a bit windy up here. Wind is at my back, so hopefully it's not being picked up by the microphone. But it's convenient at least that it's in my back, so I'll have it in my face on the way down the mountain again. Granted, the wind direction doesn't change. After all, it's Iceland, so there are no guarantees there. Whew, I'm wheezing a bit. I'm definitely not making this easier on myself by also carrying a backpack with around 15 kilos, 30 pounds of camera equipment that I'm probably not gonna use. That's always the issue with me. I take lenses and different cameras and stuff, drones, cameras, lenses, end up using only a fraction of these things. Like right now, I'm just using the small handheld pocket camera. But the view is starting to become really nice. What I really look forward to is, so I can look back here and see back towards Reykjavik, but on the other side I should be able, once I reach the summit, if the fog and the clouds clear up a little bit, I should be able to have a panoramic view of the southwest. Yeah, I'm coming up on that decision point soon on whether to put on or when to put on rather the crampons. The problem is this twilight zone between the snow line and the soft lower hills, because the snow banks that are here are almost hard as glass. Well, this one is actually soft, but many of them are kind of hard as glass. But in between the ground is still quite soft. So I really abhor the idea of trudging through the soft ground on crampons. So I'm gonna hold off as long as I can and hopefully just come to ground where I can just simply walk on the crampons towards the summit. I can see over into the east now. The morning sun. And I can see the summit up ahead, quite a distance away still. You can see there's quite a bit more snow up there, on the way at least. It seems like the path, which I can barely make out, crosses those banks of snow at least. But this is an interesting spot, because right here on this very little ridge where the summit appears, right over here I think, is how far we made it this winter, me and my sister, when we tried to reach the summit and had to return because, well, we didn't have good enough crampons with us, not for the both of us. Pausing a little bit here, there's slight shelter from the wind, or a little bit of shelter from the wind, so just taking a tiny break and just enjoying the view. I'm going to show you over there. We are looking eastwards towards Þingvellir, the Parliament Fields. This mountain there in the distance is called Hengill, and I really want to do a hike sometime this summer there. I've been there once before, years ago with my oldest daughter. It's quite a hike, I think 10-15 kilometers or so, with about 800 meters of elevation. But it's really nice, varied landscapes, these jagged rocks, geothermically colored areas with greens and whites and reds and yellows and those kind of tints in the ground. So that's definitely on my summer hiking list, which will of course become a video here if I make it. And over there in the far distance, we see a mountain called, it's over there somewhere, called Vífilfell. And that's actually next on my list. I've never been there. It's not a high climb, meters, 500 meters, something like that. But it's quite steep with nice rocky faces. You need to, I think, use chains or handholds towards the end, towards the summit. But also provides very nice views of the mountain range towards the southwest, which incidentally is this Reykjanes Peninsula mountain range, which has come alive volcanically in the last few years. Let's continue. The good thing about walking on the hard-packed snow on crampons is that this is the snow which remains from winter, so it's extremely hard-packed. It's kind of glacial in a sense. So with the crampons on, you have an extremely good grip. Can you see? There's over there, a bittersweet remnant of times past. A couple of trolls, most likely a mother and child, who were trying to pass the mountain range in the shelter of night, but met with the morning sun coming from the east, the sunrise, and turned to stone. It's of course not as visible in wintertime with a kind of grey hue of snow on top, but these peaks, Móskarðshnjúkar, so both this one and that one, so the two that make up this dual summit, they're covered in these light rocks. I can't remember the name of them, I'll just put them here, which make them stand out in the Mount Esja mountain range. So they always, because they're lighter than everything around, these kind of two blonde peaks, it makes it appear as if they're always bathed in sunlight when you look at them on even cloudy days from Reykjavik. So I think that's one of the allures, or the main allure for me. I've seen these peaks all my life in the distance, these yellow blondish peaks at the end of the mountain range, and I've always thought, I wonder what it looks like up there. I reached the little pass in between the two peaks on either side, and there's a magnificent view which welcomes me on the other side. Just looking into the valleys in the north, down into Kjós, which is the kind of a cabin area, farming area, or valley on the north side of Mount Esja, on the far side from Reykjavik. Just seeing those patterns in the side of the mountain, those cliffs, the snow blowing off of the banks up here, it's magnificent. This is the reason I come out here. If I made it to the top, to the summit, it's just behind me. It's just way too ridiculously windy up here to stand there and film anything. I don't know if I can be heard, so the wind is coming off of the mountain from the west, quite fierce. I even had a little incident just here before I reached the summit. I lost my footing on the ice and I slid about 10 meters down. Managed to stop myself, but I think I ripped the palms of my gloves pretty badly. So I'm not gonna. I see people coming down there. I'm not. There are people way down there on the slopes. Don't know if you can see them. So I'm gonna head back down. I'm gonna have to return in summer when it's not as windy, because the views up here are probably fabulous. I'm just looking through clouds at the moment, and I really want to fly the drone, specifically around the cliffs that I can see on the northern side. So I'm gonna start inching my way down safely, and yeah, either I'll catch up with you once I reach the bottom again, or the ground. What do you call that? Well, when I get to the foot of the mountain, or somewhere midway down if I take a break and I take off the crampons down there. I'm gonna start slowly back. I'm back down on, well, at the car park, back on flat land by the foot of the mountain. This was nice. It took me 3.5 hours exactly, which is what they say the hike takes usually. So I probably went, or well, traveled slightly faster than people usually do in these conditions, but it was quite lovely. Met a few people on my way back down, 3 parties. I can see some of them are already returning back up there in the hills. They didn't have proper equipment, no crampons or things to challenge the top of the mountain. This was lovely. I will be back in summer with the drone, and then I'll add the drone footage up here somewhere. Otherwise, thanks for coming with me on a little bit of a hike. Look forward to the next one. See you then.